Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Robert Davids from the Digital Economy Unit at the Western Cape Government. It's a pleasure to welcome you here today to our third installment of our Go Digital Western Cape webinar series, with our topic today being digital marketing. I'm really pleased that all of you could join us and the team. Time is tight nowadays and much happening, so your time and interest in this webinar is much appreciated, and we hope we'll be giving you some really valuable and important insights into this field of business, and especially in today's field of e-commerce. Today we're joined by a very esteemed group of panelists and experts in the field. We have Scheltema from Wesgro, who's the head of marketing, Joe Griffiths and Caitlin Nash from the Loudhailer, who are managing partners there, and also Melissa Phera, who's the founder and owner of SA Publicist. So I'll be your host for the afternoon, but we'll also be joined by my colleague Olivia Dyers, who's the director at the Department of Economic Development and Tourism in the Digital Economy Unit. She'll act as moderator for the day and doing the introductions to our presenters and the session as we go along. My other role is also just to do some housekeeping rules, if we can call it that. Firstly, this webinar is being recorded, so please note that everything will be recorded as we go along. Secondly, because we're doing this on Teams, we please ask all participants, besides the presenters, to turn off all video and all audio. That's simply to allow for no noise or video interference while the presenters are presenting to us. So if you could please put off all video and audio, we'd really appreciate that. Then furthermore, we will, in the chat window on the right-hand side of your screen, we request you to post any questions you may have as the session goes on. We will unfortunately not be taking questions throughout the webinar, but we will have a moderated question and answer session at the end thereof. We will try to answer as most of your questions as possible and where time allows. During the presentation, we'll be sharing some screens and while our presenters are doing their talks, and there may be a slight delay depending on the speed of your bandwidth wherever you are. So from my side, thank you again for joining us. Thank you for your interest and your participation and your cooperation. So on that note, we'll kick off, and I'll hand over to Olivia Dyers to do a quick intro to our speakers and to the session, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, Olivia, thank you. Over to you. Okay, there's a slight delay on Olivia's side.
Hi, everyone.
Here we go. Thank you, Olivia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Olivia Dyers. I'm in the Digital Economy Unit at DDAT. Today, we want to explore the topic of digital marketing. Often in tough times, marketing budgets are the first to go. And in this period of the risk-adjusted opening of the economy, although it's not yet unfettered, e-commerce and online retail are some of the ways that small businesses can get customers to their product during lockdown. We have some experts in the field today who will introduce this topic. It's an introductory session on digital marketing, and we'll start with Caitlin and Joe. Caitlin and Joe are both managing partners from the Loudhailer, the company and innovative agency specializing in strategic marketing and communications and stakeholder management, amongst some things. Caitlin and Joe, would you please mind sharing with us the term digital marketing in layman's terms? What does that actually mean? What are some of the components within the field of digital marketing? Is there a difference between digital marketing and traditional marketing? Do you mind starting with those questions in the meantime?
Thank you very much, Olivia. This is Jo speaking now. And hopefully we're going to be able to share some slides with you now. Whilst we are just swapping over the slides, just to introduce digital marketing, I think one thing that we all need to be very aware of is we live in a digital world. So digital marketing is just the way that we actually communicate with one another. And really, there is no real boundaries between what is traditional and what is digital. And we live and breathe in a digital world, and that's how we communicate. And in the current times that we now see ourselves in, we're all incredibly aware of what has changed. But I think what hasn't changed and what we need to be very clear on is the importance of digital marketing and communication in the way that we are all living today. So what has changed? And I think this is where we really need to sort of explore is the intensity in which now we use digital marketing. What we have seen during this time of the pandemic is an accelerated transactional processes that are happening online. We were all maybe a little bit nervous to transact online before. We were all maybe a little bit nervous to reach out and start our businesses online. Now we have no choice. We have, as business owners, we have a very digitally connected audience that are sitting in their armchairs. I call them the armchair audience. We have communities that are very accessible to us and that are willing to engage with us. And when I talk about communities, we speak about local communities that are already online. So for example, it might be your local Facebook group that's within your area. They are an audience ready and waiting. We have customers, you have customers with real needs that are ready to trade. And when I say real needs, we
I think we've dropped dropped Jo. I think okay. So. Caitlin, do you want to perhaps jump in at this point?
Yes, hello everybody. Isn't technology such a lovely, wonderful thing with all its stops and starts? It does help us more than not. Olivia, I'd like to share my presentation with you. Would you let me know if it is displaying?
Yes, definitely. We'll wait for you. It's coming on. There we go.
Fantastic. So hello everybody. My name is Caitlin Nash, and I'm alongside Jo Griffiths. I think what Jo was sharing with you all is that
I'm back.
A few years ago, oh, you're back, Jo. I'll leave you on the slide then.
Can you hear me, everybody? Sorry, I don't know quite what happened there. I was talking about that we have customers with real needs that are ready to trade. And what I mean by that is, you know, we're sitting talking to people. It's quite strange doing a seminar where we can't see people and we don't know exactly what your businesses are. But from the brief that we've been speaking about, you might be a business that's in existence that's online already and trading, and you've got stock that you need to shift. You might be a restaurant that now needs to start a delivery service. You might be launching a new product. You might be a business that's already been doing leaflet drops in the traditional world of advertising, as we like to refer it to, but now need to move into the digital space to be able to engage with our customers. It might be that you are now you're a shop and you want to deliver your products and services. There's customers asking and needing this. There's and we've seen an absolutely exponential increase in delivery services, for example, as a result of this. So the reality is, if you own a mobile device and if you have access to data, you effectively have a business. You have a business in your back pocket. And that's one thing that we all need to think about. But really, where do we start? And if you go to the next slide there, so that we can see. So as a brand, as a business or a service, your customers need to be able to do three crucial things in the digital sphere. They need to be able to find you. Where are you currently existing? Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have a website? Do you have a WhatsApp group? Where are your customers? Do you have their phone numbers? How do then people engage with you? They need to be able to engage with you on a platform. Is that WhatsApp? Is it on Facebook? Is it on your phone? And they need to be able to trade with you. And there's various ways in which you can trade online easily and quickly. So I'm going to take you through a couple of those things now, how we actually go about this. If you'd like to go to the next slide, please. So as a business, you need to identify those channels. And in identifying those channels, you need to find a channel that has the visual representation that you need. It needs to be cost effective. It needs to be engaging. But most importantly, it needs to be very simple in a way that you can connect with your customers. So we all know these channels, we see them daily, but how do you actually use them? So WhatsApp for Business is a great way to connect with your customers, build a database of people for immediacy and response. It might be for taking orders for deliveries. Facebook and Instagram, you can start building your brand visually, connecting with your audience. You can start generating leads, and you can effectively sell your product through different apps and applications like Shopify, for example. With Twitter, Twitter is a medium where you can join conversations with immediacy and relevancy to start building your credibility within the sphere in which with which you work. So, for example, as Loudhailer, a communications agency, we will be using Twitter today to tweet about this actual webinar that we're running, to be able to connect with audiences, share our experiences, and make sure that we're sharing with a bigger, wider group of people. Because this is one thing that digital can do. It can scale your business very quickly by the opportunities with which people can share. LinkedIn is more a business channel. So you can build your business profile, and it helps you link directly with key influencers and contacts in your sector. And LinkedIn is a great way to follow businesses, keep up with trends, but also to generate leads for your business. On the next slide, we're looking at affiliate networks. So an affiliate network is where you join a platform, something like Admirula, where you can look at acquisition campaigns. So you can start selling products on with multiple publishers on a very cost-effective platform. What is it about online PR? So telling your story and sharing your story. And that's a lot of what we've been doing recently, especially during this time, during the COVID-19 times, that people want to be able to share their story. What are the problems that we are helping people solve? It might be about visual conversations, presentations, webinars, what we're doing absolutely right now. How do we connect on Zoom, on Skype, on Microsoft Teams, and how can we use those effectively to be able to connect with our customers, connect with other people? Google AdWords. Some of you may be using Google AdWords at the moment. Some of you may have been waiting to use Google AdWords when you had budget. Now is the perfect time to test Google AdWords. Google AdWords is PPC campaigns where you can buy targeted advertising against keywords. The cost to entry at the moment is very low. The reason being is that big brands have pulled their budgets back. So to bid on a keyword is actually low cost at the moment, and it's certainly a good time to test. So there's lots of different channels, but what you need to establish as a business, a brand, a product, a service that you're offering is how you use the content and messaging to actually decide which channels are best for your business. So we use very, very stringent guiding principles to be able to do that. And I'm going to hand over to Caitlin to take you through those.
Yes, thank you, Jo. Olivia, we don't want to moderate in your absence, but I know we had spoken that something this audience could strongly benefit from is not necessarily the granular detail of how you run a Facebook page or how you use multiple different types of digital tools, but from our side to perhaps assist people to think about how you approach a communications portfolio, particularly if you're not in a position to outsource it to people who do it for a living. So we thought we would take you through some guiding principles. It's this simple. Clear communication comes from clear thinking. Communicating effectively and really well and having meaningful conversations and connections with people is not rocket science. All of us today here invited as panelists to share our thoughts. We've learned from experience and we become better and more efficient at what we do because it's our day-to-day core job. But that doesn't mean that a small business owner, a solopreneur, a corporate who's now looking to digitize different elements of their business can't do this. No one, from a CEO level down to a first-time business owner, should feel intimidated by putting together a communications activity plan. It's purely about how do I have conversations that will help me trade with my customers in a way that will be commercially valuable. Right, I'm going to take you through 2 quick slides. In your head, when you're thinking about how to communicate, you need to have your compass around how do you figure out what to say, how to say, when to say it. Second to that, you then need to have a roadmap. So make sure you've got your compass and make sure you've got your roadmap and you're onto a pretty good wicket. The first principle we always use is communication physics. So for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, and you should think about communications in that way too. Don't just spew your needs onto your customers, but think whatever I'm writing right now on Facebook, on my LinkedIn blog, on my WhatsApp, what is the action, the reaction that I want from the person I'm talking to? Do I want them to place an order? Do I want them to follow my page? Do I want them to sign up for my email? These are the very specific details you should think about. See, KISS, nothing wrong with a little bit of love. KISS is an old principle that stands for keep it simple, stupid. And we often joke about this because we're all trying to have the most beautiful images on our pages. And sometimes we often see clients who just forget the basics. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you do it? Why do you do it? How do you do it? Make sure you always cover the basics. 3, remember that people are behind digital. Digital is people. So when you want to collaborate with someone, start by picking up the phone and talking to them. Ask the person who's running this amazing Facebook page that you want to mention on to hop on a call with you. Reach out to the person on LinkedIn and don't spam them, but say, I read this article you posted and I think we're really aligned. Could we have a chat? Have real conversations besides just tagging people randomly. Work together as a community so that you can create content together where you co-endorse each other and plan strategies together. 4, time, money, effort. Oftentimes people think that because Facebook and WhatsApp as a consumer is free, they think digital's free. And if it's the first time you're entering this space, I want to make it really clear that running good digital communications takes time, it's going to take some money, and it's certainly going to take a lot of effort. So don't think it's going to come quick and don't think it's going to come easy. Realize that you're going to have to apply some of the most valuable things that we have, which is time, money, and effort, to get it flowing smoothly and consistently. Consistent versus comprehensive. You know what? You don't have to do all the channels. You need to pick which ones you can handle within your skill set, and you need to run them really well. So instead of having every single social media platform active out there, if you can only handle one, have one, but do it consistently so that your users and your conversations carry on, not just sporadically, but rather consistently. Build, borrow, buy. I can promise you that whatever digital tool you need, it probably exists already. So when you have a need and you're trying to think of a digital way to do it faster, start Googling, start phoning friends, start asking for recommendations. Sometimes you might have to build your own digital solution. Sometimes you can borrow what somebody else is using and they can give you access to. And sometimes you may need to buy it in terms of a subscription. And this is very important when you're choosing your digital tools. Cope. That is what we all have to do right now. Very simple publishing theme, which says create once, publish everywhere. So one beautiful flyer that you create, remember that you don't need to only use it in one place. You just need to adapt it a little bit for each of the digital channels you're using. Earned versus paid. So earned PR online is when you tell such a compelling story that a journalist or a blogger is willing to publish your story for free. You don't have control over the content, but they are willing to share it and give you reach publicly that you didn't have to spend money on. Paid is when you actually go and buy space and you have full control over what you put there. It's important for people to remember that. Oftentimes we have individuals who really want to control every single word that is put out there, and you can't always do that. So make sure your main message is the one that gets through. Right, two last ones, personalized versus personal. In every form of communication digital, the wonderful part about these technologies is that you can hyper-personalize your communication. You can make sure your email mailers use the name of the person you're speaking to. You can make sure your Facebook posts speak directly to the needs of that community. But remember, when your customer replies on a Facebook comment, via WhatsApp, on your LinkedIn, remember that it's not personal, and that in essence, you are dealing with a customer and you must apply customer-friendly principles and not retaliate on a personal basis. Finally, favor or forever. A lot of startups or solopreneurs like to ask their mate around the corner who knows a little bit about digital to help them, and there's nothing wrong with that. But remember, favors are usually once off. Forever is if you want a consistent, strong, considered digital strategy that you actually make an investment into working with professionals and have a trade going on as opposed to bouncing from favor to favor. My last slide to share with everyone is what hasn't changed from traditional marketing and digital marketing is that you should be able to take all the information that you need to tell everyone and put them in themes. For products, this is usually a good idea to have content pillars. You can have 5, you can have 3, you can have 2, doesn't matter, but it helps you to cluster your thoughts together. Once you have these clusters of information that you need to share with your audience, you can then start planning. Is this a post I make from Monday to Friday? Is it a post I make twice a week? Is it an email I send out instead of once a month, every week now? Because everybody's on digital, on their phones. This is just going to help you create a continual conversation, creating one set of information, but using it everywhere. And I think Olivia and everyone who's listening, this is really just to stimulate your thoughts and help structure how you think about this. But more than anything, just be bold, be creative, and have fun. And don't be afraid to try new things, run new competitions, and build your databases with your communities. Yeah, that's my side of it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Caitlin and Joe. I think those insights are very useful. I want to go to Melissa, who you've been in this game for over 17 years as the founder of SA Publicist. Will you share with us more about what public relations is about? Can you also share with us about influencer campaigns? Those are kind of new and quite a new thing that's come on the marketing space in the last few years. And also, how do you manage your brand and your reputation in the digital era?
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Can you hear?
Yes, we can, Melissa.
Hi there. So the gremlins are at play today. I'm having a bit of technicalities, and so my video's off, and I apologize for that. Thank you so much, Olivia, for the introduction. And you know what? In layman's terms, communication is basically your business information and key messages such as your value proposition. And public relations is basically how you communicate those messages. So it can be anything from a media campaign to an event or a launch. And the other misconception is that PR is only about sending random press releases and pitching to the media. And I mean, some people even think that we are partying and we have access to, to all these events. But there's much more to it. You need a good strategy and a plan. And it's also very individualized. I always say that it's not a one-fit-all strategy. Everybody is different. So if company A is doing X and it works for them, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for your brand. And something that Caitlin and Joe also said is that, like every industry, there are certain things that you can do yourself, and then there are certain aspects where you need a skilled person. So, for example, you may be able to fix a plug yourself, but if there's a short circuit from your electricity box, you would want to get an electrician because you might get yourself in a hospital, and we obviously don't want that. So with concept VR, it's the same. You know, there are aspects where you can certainly do yourself, which I will chat about in my presentation. And then in some instances, you need a team of specialists. It's the visible part of your company, and that is what you need to understand. So if anything goes wrong, your reputation is on the line. And with regards to influencers, Olivia, yes, we are in a new era, but marketing influence has been around since forever. I don't know if you guys can remember the Marlboro Man in the 70s. I'm not sure how old everyone is, but Marlboro Man was quite big in the 70s. And then one of my favorite influencer campaigns is the relationship between Michael Jackson and Pepsi. So this happened in the 80s, where Michael's management was looking for a sponsor, and they went to Coke first, but Coke was a bit hesitant to sign. So what they did is they approached Pepsi, who was Coke's rival then, and Pepsi needed a boost. So they signed a $5 million deal with Michael Jackson. And Michael, obviously being Michael, it worked. And the following year, in 1984, Pepsi gained market share, and their sales were, I think it was 7.7 billion. And that is also the year where Coke sales dropped, sorry. So the Pepsi and Michael partnership lasted for a decade. You know, there was a few crisis comms here and there, but it was quite a perfect partnership and a very good case study that I would invite people to go and read. So I'm going to try to share my presentation with you. I hope it works. Do you see anything?
Not yet, Melissa. Yes, I can see.
We can see it now.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I just want to say what SA Publicists do in a nutshell is to help make companies and brands visible. And we do that by using various platforms such as media and digital space. And then we also use various mechanics such as influencers, campaigns, launches, media junkets, and networking events, to name a few. So, okay. So what I am going to focus on today is more on the building brand side of things, and then using online personas with a human-centric approach. And then I am going to give you an intro on how to start your own online reputation. And then thirdly, how to influence on a very, very tight budget. Sorry. So, okay, let's chat about brands. I bet you that since this morning, you have interacted with more than 10 brands. And I'm using an example. You woke up in your silly bed with your linen from a surprise home, ate your Kellogg's cereal with clover milk, had your Jacob's coffee, brush your teeth with Colgate toothpaste, watch the latest Corona news on SABC, on your LG TV, and use your Samsung phone and MTN service provider. That's how to use event and able, okay? So I know that the majority of us here today are business owners and entrepreneurs, and we are in the business of making money, whether it's for personal gain or to help others, and also we want to grow. Sorry, I am losing my voice. Okay, so what I want to highlight is there's a difference between a company and a brand. A company sells products and a brand sells a lifestyle. So I want to give example of two of my favorite brands that I like to follow. And the one is Nike, the other one is Coca-Cola. So if you think about a Nike ad, have you seen a Nike ad actually selling sneakers? Nope. You won't see it because they focus on the lifestyle and their tagline is just do it. So the brand is all about sports, all about influencing marketing and using ambassadors to showcase their brand. So nowhere will you see that they are advertising the latest 1,200 Nikes. But you will see a sports star on TV selling aspiration. And Nike believes that anyone can be an athlete. Then there's Coke, and Coke sells happiness. So as a small business, we too can build brands. We might not have these big budgets like the big companies, but we can start off by building our own brand persona, because when we start off as businesses, we start as companies, okay? So we are focused on getting our products out there, whether it's a service business or a product business. So a brand becomes, a brand is more of a livable thing. So on your right screen, there are tools that can help you build your own buyer persona. And once you have completed yours, on the left are some obvious but not so obvious tools that you can use to market your business. So it's also important to know that you don't need to be on all the platforms. And Loudhailer also mentioned that. So for instance, a welding business do not necessarily have to be on Snapchat. I know that's an obvious example, but like Loudhailer say, choose the tools that your customers frequent. It's very important to know what your customers want and what they desire. So if you sell a dishwasher brand, you don't really need to be on Instagram. That is not perhaps where you're going to get your customers. So don't try to be on every social media platform or try to do all these marketing campaigns. And then, as the saying goes, you are as good as your reputation. So the best thing or the quickest thing that we can do is to ensure that when somebody searches your company, the first 2 Google pages is about you and good things about your company. So the best way to do this is to work on your company's social media. So Google uses algorithms, and it's usually the most prominent websites or the websites with high activity. They also look at reputable websites, and then there's a lot of other things that they take into consideration. But because social media is widely used by everyone, I mean, there's millions of people on social media every day. So it's a very good idea to start off with Facebook and Instagram, and then as well as LinkedIn. But again, like I said earlier on, it depends on what your brand is about and what you are selling. So I'm using this example, Batu, one of my favorite brands. Just to give you an example, like on top, you would see that they are running a Google ad. And then at the bottom is their website. So this is on the first page when you search Google. So this means that if their website is second, they have a good SEO, search engine optimization. Okay. And then you will see on page 2, the ad runs And then they also have a lot of images on Google, which is a very good thing. So I would suggest is that how you get these images on is by way of PR, and then also by utilizing, again, your social media spaces, because that is what Google will pick up, and that is how, you will be on the first and second page of whenever they search for your brand. And then the same WhatsApp group is PR as well. So another clever way to ensure that you are on the first 2 pages is by doing a very good PR strategy. And I'm using the example of Alan Wines. I must declare that I do work with them. So if you see that on the first page, they have done a lot of PR. I haven't done this PR for them, by the way, but you will see that the first one that comes up is Business Live, and then you've got iol.co.za. Then Instagram, like I said, it's a very popular and highly rated on Google. And then 702, and then LinkedIn as well. On page 2, you'll see Alan Wines. I know personally that they are very active on their website and on Twitter and etc. etc. Okay, so I'm gonna go to influencer marketing, and I'm just gonna give you an idea of the type of influencers that you get. Okay, so your mega influencers, your celebrities with at least 1 million followers, they often have a global audience. So South African actors and artists are well known in other African countries as well. And then there are a few of South African artists that are globally known, such as Black Coffee, Paul Tusi, and Shoma Josie. So mega influence can spread info very fast if that is what your brand needs, but they also come at a huge price. And mega influencers can, charge up to $1 million per post. Then you have your macro influencers, and I love macro influencers because it's still very popular artists and actors. It falls into this category, as well as bloggers, media, and influencers that got the names from the internet, So these influencers are more engaging than your mega influencers, and they often have a single interest, which works well for brands. But again, these are pricey, and I normally work with campaigns, work with macro influencers when there are big brands involved. Okay, and then the third one is micro influencers, and they are probably the biggest group of influencers with the most loyal followers on social media, and they are usually knowledgeable on a topic or industry. So micro influence would probably be bloggers as well. They would probably have a followers between or up to 100,000. If not more, just over 100,000. And then then there's nano influencers, and these are everyday consumers, and they are the latest buzz. They have only 1,000 to 10,000 followers, and they have no brand experience. So it's a little bit risky to work with them because you do not know how things are going to pan out. But if you are a small business, I would always say take a risk, because it's not that the crisis communication won't be big. But I would suggest that you do work with a specialist when you do an influencer marketing campaign. So I'm talking about all these influencers, and I know that everybody on here are small businesses such as myself. So we can't really afford, we don't have these big budgets to use influencers. So what I would suggest is, let me just see if I can go to the next page. Okay, so what I would suggest is that you use your own narrative, okay? And I've got some favorite brands that I usually look up to when it comes to owning their own narrative. And one of those brands is called the Lazy Makoti. I think I met her when she started out years ago, but she has managed to build her brand to such a powerful brand where she is now an author. She has a YouTube channel. She works with a lot of brands, and as you can see, she has over 235 followers. So yeah, she is an absolutely brilliant example of how you can be your own influencer. You don't need to pay influencers. Once you step out, you and be your own brand advocate, I think that there's really, really value in doing that. And the best thing is it's for free. And then another brand that I really like is Funny Cup. They own their own narrative. What I like about them is that they are authentic. They know their audience, and whatever campaign they have, or whatever they would, how do I say it? So whenever there's something happening, current affairs, it's similar to what Nando's does. Is they would always have a clap back for something, but for their audience, so that their audience can understand. And yeah, they started out small. I think they started out in Woodstock, and now they have a shop in Canal Walk. And then the other influencer that I like is Nadia Jafta. I think she is unapologetic. She is real. She knows her audience, and she plays it well. She plays a brand very, very well. And then also she gives little insight to her world. Her audience, they get to know her grandfather and her mom. She loves pranks, but then she also, portrays herself as a model and an actress. And then she also has a swimwear. So love Nadia. She has this love to hate kind of brand going on. It's almost similar to Rihanna. And yeah, that's why I like Nadia's brand. And then lastly is Theo. So Theo is the owner of Bartu's sneakers, the example that I used earlier. If you Google Theo, you will see that he is all over the place. He is taking ownership. He is pushing his own brand. What I like about them is that they know their audience. They are also very authentic. They speak the audience's language, the color usage, the style, and everything else. So yeah. So that is me. What I would like to say is that whether you are starting out or whether you are growing, there's options for you. You don't have to. I know when people see things or these big things, they often think that there's a lot of budget behind it. And I think if you put a little bit of budget aside to work with a specialist from the beginning, where they can guide you in terms of your messages, your key messages, and also building your persona. There is value in you doing it, taking it, and doing it by yourself and growing. So yeah, over to you, Olivia.
Thanks so much, Melissa. What you've actually shared with me today is that I'm in the wrong job. But the other insights were so useful. I appreciate it. Our last panelist today is Jean Scheltema. She's the head of marketing at Wesgro. Wesgro is the Western Cape Trade and Investment Promotion Agency. So marketing and promotion is in everything that they do. Jean's going to share with us a little bit about some new marketing promotion services which Wesgro is offering. Over to you, Jean.
Thank you so much, Olivia. Share my presentation here. Hope that you can see it.
Yes, we can.
Yes, Jean, we can see it. Thank you.
Thanks so much. So today I'm going to be talking about three things. I'm going to be talking about virtual travel, virtual trade, and then owning the search. So as you know, our tourism industry is very hard hit during COVID-19, and our tour guides are not able to work at the moment. So what we've done is we've come up with an initiative to get the guides working via virtual tours. So a little note on this format, it's not a travel show and there isn't a host. Instead, it's a guided conversation with a virtual tourist and a tour guide. The tour guide is going to give the tour just like they would ordinarily, except this time it's online, using tools like Google Street View to point out the interesting sites. So the name of the initiative is Dreaming of One Day. While travel is on pause, we can still enjoy a virtual day out. And this is the story of Jeremy Howard from the Cape West Coast. By using digital intervention, we allow our tour guides to be able to work during the lockdown. At the same time, we remain top of mind for our audience, retaining familiarity and a sense of place. And that's extremely important now during the lockdown. It's difficult for us to be out there, but what we do need to do is keep communicating to retain that sense of familiarity, which will lead us well into recovery. So this is the format that it took. We used a combination of stills. You can see our tour guide as well as our tour taker in the top right-hand corner. We then also included Google Street View to give the viewers an immersive experience of the Cape West Coast. Google Street View takes the viewer right into the West Coast National Park, and you can see via an animation map exactly where the West Coast is for our international viewers that might be taking this tour. We've included the wildflowers in the Cape West Coast, showing what the region is famous for. And we mustn't forget that we are still able to tell the rich stories of the destination without people physically being there. Another exciting part about this digital intervention is the use of animation. It allows us to include quirky facts that a dorpie is in fact an Afrikaans, it's Afrikaans for little town. This is interesting for our source markets overseas that might be taking the tour. And then lastly, it ends on a virtual business card, connecting a name and a face to the tour guide and giving the website so that people can go and discover for themselves. The very exciting part at the end of this is that we've included SnapScan to allow all viewers to leave a little something for their guide if they enjoyed taking the virtual tour. SnapScan is phenomenal. It's paperless, it's effortless, it's internationally used, and it's a direct-to-guide interaction. The last call to action on the virtual tour, which you can find on the Discover GDWC YouTube page, is a call to action for the viewer to book a tour when travel is unpaused. This closes the loop between the virtual experience and the on-the-ground one. And that's a really important point for digital. I strongly believe that all digital needs an on-the-ground component. Yes, that's incredibly difficult now during COVID-19. But what we can do is we can pay it forward. Is it a voucher? Or is it asking your customer base to book a real trip one day when we're free to travel and explore again? So now I'm going to do a bit of a change in gears and talk about something exciting that happened in the last week at Wesgro. Cape Town and the Western Cape became the first in Africa to embrace virtual missions, and this was conducted via the Wesgro trade team. The investment mission happened to Botswana via the Zoom platform. 12 different businesses from the Western Cape took part in the mission, and 83 people attended. This included webinars, discussions, B2B breakaway sessions, happened over 3 days. I think the exciting part about this was that the unit's objective did not change, only the channel changed. And if you look at Zoom and you really start to familiarize yourself with it, you'll see that B2B breakaway sessions are fantastic ways for businesses to still connect to their audiences, those valuable conversations to take place, and have multiple people on the platform, and then smaller groups can break away to have those conversations that facilitate business continuity. Wesgro's Trade and Development Desk led a delegation of 20 companies on a virtual trade mission to Guinea. The goal? Introduce our businesses in a variety of sectors and their products to key Guinean businesses, have them remain connected, and increase exports to Guinea during and beyond COVID-19. I've been very proud of the trade unit at Wesgro, they've really led the way in finding solutions that can take us into a new world of working. And I think this is incredibly important. We are in a new world of working. And if you are not online, you are not anywhere. We need to remain connected to key international countries, and we need to start to disrupt the traditional models via digital interventions. The last topic that I would like to cover is owning the search, or becoming discoverable online. And you will see the big word content sitting in the middle of that computer screen. And years have taught me that if you get your content strategy right, your SEO strategy will fall into place naturally. So what I've done is I have put 6 very simple ways on the screen for you to start looking at owning the search. The first one being Google Business. This is really the low-hanging fruit of SEO, and I tried it out again last night just so that the proof was in the pudding. Go to Google Business. It's free. Go and make sure that you have got the right street address. Ensure that your telephone number is correct. Easy rankings on Google. Make sure it's updated. Get your clients to do recommendations or ratings on it. You can even update when you can open as a business, or if you have already. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the power of loyal customers and a database. What you want to do here is you want to add unique value through emailers, and you want to turn your customers into ambassadors. I think as marketers, the big shift that I have seen is that we are choosing speed and looseness over high production and craft. And this is important to remember with your content. At the moment, it does not need to be perfect. It needs to be real, and it needs to be fast. You need to talk to your audience as well as if they are real people. What audiences are wanting to see at the moment, they're wanting to see the backstory of your business. They want the behind the scenes. And in many ways, the facade has been dropped on content, and a much more real conversation is starting to happen. Monetize digital when you can. I showed you the example of SnapScan, but there are some wonderful things happening and coming out of the gates, as we spoke about before, restaurants that have developed delivery strategies, people using the e-commerce model. And what we're seeing here is we're really seeing people cash in on the goodwill that was developed pre-COVID-19. You will start to see that your audience is receptive to you monetizing digital. A great example is that the restaurant that you loved sitting in, you loved their pasta, you are more than happy to order online and have it delivered to your door, and that goodwill does exist, and we need to cash in on it while we can. In terms of SEO, a blog updated regularly on your website, relevant, unique, and that adds value to your audience. It's extremely important that your website content should be user in and not organization out. One of the pitfalls that we see time and time again is that an organization loves to talk about itself. It loves to tell you who it is and what it does, when in fact we should be looking at what our user is looking for, searching for, what are their pain points, and how does our content answer their question. So it's a complete shift in mindset, and it's also good to remember that users do not come necessarily to the home page of a website. They come through a link after they have searched for something, and we need to ensure that we are answering their question with our content. Very simple website tools for you to use, especially if you're on a platform with a simple CMS like WordPress. There's Yoast, free or premium, which can help you get SEO best practice. It's a great example to do that it's a great idea to do that for yourself. You can always get an SEO audit done a few months later if you would like to see where the gaps are or how you've been doing. And then finally, I'd like to quickly touch on social media. We do need to get the basics right. Go to your Facebook page, have a look at the About section. Is it correct? Seek out the relevant hashtags. Another pro tip is to post with your location on. People often search via location. And the last point that I would like to make on this slide is that of collaboration. Collaboration in the time of COVID-19 is essential, and it will help people survive. Seek out brands that you would like to tag, partners and stakeholders that are relevant to your business. Choose brands with existing equity and distribution channels that you have not even accessed yet. For example, this week, I saw a partnership, a cross-selling initiative between Uber Eats and Exclusive Books. Find the brands that you can partner with, piggyback off existing databases, and start to build those strong connections. So I'd like to say thanks so much. I know it was quite a quick presentation today, but I do want to say as a last word that you need to know your product first. You know the intrinsics of your product first, and you choose your channel after that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jean. Wow, that hour has really gone very quickly. There is a question I'd like to pose to any of the four of you from the audience. Kevin has asked, what is a good application or website that can manage multiple social media platforms? Do you have any recommendations?
Hi, Olivia. I'm happy to answer that question. As a business, we tend to use Hootsuite. They have a free plan that you can use. They also have a pro plan, and that really is probably one of the best platforms that you can schedule your messaging. You can report on your social media, and it just helps you manage that content based on the pillars once you've actually scheduled that. That's the one I would recommend.
Thank you. Thank you. Caitlin, before I kind of wrap up this session and hand over back to Robert, when we had a chat, you were mentioning some interesting new approaches businesses are using to market in terms of courses and webinars. Do you want to maybe share a bit about that with the audience?
Yes, thanks, Olivia. You know, there's very few things that are new under the sun. And I think when we talk about digital now, it's incredibly important not to see it as something new and different, but just to see it as the way life and business works. It's less about finding novelty, and it's more about finding the right fit for what you're trying to promote. So we've had a number of initiatives we've supported during COVID-19 when it hit the shores of South Africa. We've had some entrepreneurs who developed various types of apps, so symptom trackers. We had another entrepreneurial company that developed a e-learning course, a gamified e-learning course to teach people about the coronavirus. And most recently, we've started working with an innovation company that has created software for doctors to track COVID-19 patients that are positive before they hit the hospitals so that they can plan the resources required for those hospitals. So with each of these, I don't think anyone has necessarily interesting and different, but they have used tools correctly. So they've gone to market and we've been able to support them to tell their very compelling story to the media. And it's been very successful working alongside a lot of the journalists and publications in South Africa to get the right stories out into the media. And off the back of that, every time you have an online article published, the media goes that much further and not into the hands of just new readers, but into the hands of your existing community that follow you. Additionally, we've seen the use of emails increase substantially. So mailers, you know, back in the day, you'd maybe have a monthly or quarterly mailer that you would send out to your customer database. It's mail your once a week if it's really relevant. In fact, depending on your product, you can even email them images. I think we've seen a very interesting use of WhatsApp lines. It's become normal now. And I think we've also seen a lot of typically not had digital avenues to trade with now implementing them. So Olivia, I know we speak about a lot of things. What I want to say to everyone is go educate to a friend, watch a YouTube video and enjoy it. Make the experience enjoyable as opposed to feeling pressurized and intimidated in this process. It's just about putting systems in place, and you obviously have the tenacity and interest if you're already on this call to do it. So good luck, everyone.
Thank you, Caitlin. Melissa, one last question to you. If a person wanted to get hold of an influencer to partner with, would they need to go via a publicist? How would they find or access influencers?
Olivia, I would suggest that although they can make direct contact with an influencer, it's best to work with a professional in terms of how to approach it and whether that is an effective way to use influencers. So yes, the answer is yes, they can make direct contact, and usually, you can just go into the DMs, send them a message. I'm sure they would always they would reply. For the big influencers, they would usually direct you to their managers or to their agents, but the smaller ones, would be happy to do something for you. But yeah, I would suggest before you make contact with an influencer, and in any case, when you do an influencer campaign, it's best to, when you want to go big, it's best to use a prominent person. And when you want to do a smaller campaign, I think to use one influencer with 1,000 followers is not really going to create any impact.
Thank you, Melissa. Jean, to you, if anyone wants to join any of the trade missions or know when the next ones are, or participate in sort of virtual tour guiding, how could they join that process?
Thanks so much, Olivia. In terms of being connected to the trade unit and actually to the tourism unit, I think just come through marketing@wesgro.co.za and I will put you in touch with the relevant unit head. Thanks.
Thank you very much to all four of you. You have been such sages sharing your knowledge with us today. I think the session, I can see also from the feedback, very informative, and people have really enjoyed the information today. So thank you. Please enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to pass the mic to Robert, who will close off the session.
Thank you, Olivia. And thank you to all our panelists. Yes, Jean, Joe, Caitlin, and Melissa, it was really awesome to have you as panelists in our session today. Olivia has already said that the feedback is looking very positive, and definitely I think the information and what you shared was really, really valuable and informative. So we hope that our audience also got a lot of value out of it, as our intention was. So to all the panelists, thank you very, very much once again for your time and for sharing all your knowledge with us. Olivia also for moderating the session. That was really awesome. I think we had a couple of technical glitches in the beginning, but we smoothed our way through, so no problem at all. And then to our audience, again, thank you for joining us today. It's been really awesome, and that you were able to spend this time with us. This webinar was actually oversubscribed, and we're glad that those of you who were with us and could join with us. It was really cool. Before we go, I just want to speak about our upcoming webinars. As you know, the Go Digital Western Cape has a series of webinars. So this was our third one today. So we're still fresh out of the blocks. Our next one, I'll just see if I can share my screen with you, will be next week, Wednesday, and that will be focusing on the topic which we're calling Google My Business. So as you know, Google has a variety of apps and tools which are specifically developed for small businesses or different size of businesses, not just small businesses. And we'll have some experts in the field speaking to us about how that can be applied and used within the current context. Just also note that the time next week will be not on a Thursday as this week, but we'll shift to a Wednesday, but still at 12:30. And then following that, we'll have a session on the 27th of May, our fifth webinar in the series, and that will be focusing on crowdfunding and exploring alternate fundraising for SMMEs. So that's our upcoming sessions. I think this will grow as time goes on, but from myself, Olivia, the digital economy team, thank you very much again to all our panelists and to all our participants and audience, and we'll see you next time around. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Thank you, guys. Thank you, speakers. Very well done. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.